Hey y'all, Robbie Falk here from Nashville, Tennessee, one of my favorite cities in America, right here in the South, in the heart of the South. And I'm outside of Bridgestone Arena right here where Mississippi State men's basketball will be taking on the first round of the SEC tournament, the LSU Tigers, in the 8-9 matchup. We just had a little media availability with Cam Matthews and Shaquille Moore. Got to see a little bit of their shoot around. I think they're going to have another practice here shortly, I believe. But the players are locked in. They're ready to go. Big one coming up on Thursday morning, 11 a.m. here at Bridgestone Arena. We'll be here to cover it for you at Maroon and White Daily, so make sure you're tuned in for that. But I can't really talk anymore about how important this game is, and I think everybody knows that. I think the players know it. I think Chris Jans know it. They've probably talked about it. Or if they didn't talk about it, they didn't really have to because they kind of know what's at stake. Mississippi State has been needing to win basically one more game for the last 2 weeks. That's kind of the projections for this team. 20 wins will probably get them in. 9 SEC wins total will probably get them in, and this is kind of where they are right now. Don't really have many bad losses the last few weeks. They just haven't been able to find that elusive win since going on that 5-6 game winning streak, whatever it was. I think it was 5 straight that they had, and this is going to be basically their last chance to do that. Now, is it a foregone conclusion that they're not going to make the NCAA tournament if they lose? No, I think they will still be on the bubble, but what you do then is you allow other teams to push their way in and push Mississippi State out, which is what's basically happening right now with the women's team. That is what is kind of what at stake. You win this ball game, you're firmly in the NCAA tournament. I don't think there's any way that anybody's going to push them out at that point, even if they go 1-1 in this tournament, because their other loss would be Tennessee, the number 1 team in the SEC and a potential number 1 seed overall. So you're really looking at pretty cut and dry right here. Win the ball game, you're in the NCAA tournament for Mississippi State. And I don't think it's a situation where it's like last year where you're in the play-in game. I think Mississippi State is firmly in the tournament. I don't think there's a play-in game. I think they're probably a 9 or 10 seed, at worst a 10 seed, going into the tournament, and you're in fairly good shape at that point. And this team, it really deserves it. It deserves to be a tournament team, and I know people will say it doesn't deserve it with the last 5 games that they've played, but this team has played good enough basketball this year. They've gotten big enough wins that they really have done enough that it feels like they should be in, but they just lack that one more win. It feels like you can't go into the tournament with 6 straight losses, which is where they would be at this point. You had Kentucky there for the taking. You had South Carolina there for the taking. And then you lost on the road to a Texas A&M team that's playing really well. You lost on the road to an Auburn team that's playing really well. You just lost some games to some really good teams that are playing well that you didn't play well enough to beat them. And you can look at the Kentucky game and you can look at the South Carolina game as 2 ball games that were right there for the taking. They dug themselves in a hole against A&M. They dug themselves in a hole against Auburn. Those 2 games were going to be tough anyway. But those 2 games against Kentucky and South Carolina were there. Mississippi State needed, one more stop here or 1 shot here, and they win that game, but they weren't able to do it. They've got to do it here. They've got to do it against LSU. This is a team that they beat by 20 points on the road a couple weeks ago. It's a team that doesn't look like they're going to get in the NCAA tournament. So you have everything to play for here if you're Mississippi State, and you should come out, you should handle this team and win this ball game. But as SEC play has showed us this year, it's not going to be that easy. This has been a tough conference, and Mississippi State has won some ball games against some teams they weren't supposed to win against. They've lost a couple of games they should have beaten. So this is a big one for the Bulldogs. They need all hands on deck in this game. Everybody looks good to go. We talked to, like I said, Cam Matthews and Shaquille Moore after practice. Both of those guys, they know what's at stake. They know that the reality that's ahead of them here, that they have to win this ball game. And they seem to be very loose. The whole team was, really, at practice. They all seem to be in good spirits. They all seem ready to roll. And we'll see if that translates into the ball game. But it certainly is going to be it's not going to be a pushover game for Mississippi State. They're going to have to earn this one, and we'll see if they're able to do it. And if they're able to do it, then they will book destiny against the #1 team in the SEC, a team that is playing some really good basketball right now and has all year long, but it's a team that State beat this year. So it's not, a foregone conclusion that they're going to lose that game. So it's a really important couple of days here for Mississippi State to try to get this win, try to book themselves an NCAA tournament berth, and we'll see if they're able to do it. Real quickly, we saw what happened to the baseball team. They got a big game tonight over in Biloxi against New Orleans. The baseball team on Tuesday night, just an absolute collapse for that team, and it's a familiar verse that we've seen with Mississippi State baseball the last couple years under Chris Lemonis. 5-0 lead in that ball game in the 4th inning. I believe they scored 5 runs, never scored again. Had 2 huge defensive miscues with 2 outs in the ball game that allowed some runs to score, and it just kind of got off the rails for them. In the 9th inning, Brooks Auger gave up a 2-run double, and the Bulldogs lose that one 6-5 to South Alabama. That's a tough loss for this team. South Alabama, not a bad team, but that's a game you should win, and the Bulldogs weren't able to do it. And now you're sitting here at 12-5. At best, you're going to be 13-5 going into SEC play with 5 losses against 5 mid-majors to lower. You got swept in a midweek against Austin Peay. You gave away a game against Air Force. You got blown out against Georgia Southern. It just is not, even with a 9-game winning streak, it's not bred any confidence for the future of this program this season. So what you got coming up this week, you got LSU this weekend. Then you got to go to Texas A&M. You got to go to Florida. You got 3 top 8 games coming for Mississippi State here in the next 3 weeks. And that's kind of scary to think about for the Bulldogs, but it is what it is. So we'll have coverage of that game coming up tonight. As you can hear, several bachelorette parties probably behind me here in Nashville. It should be a fun weekend here in the Music City. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully Mississippi State's going to be sticking around for a little bit, and we can talk a little bit more about it. I'll be back probably on Thursday. Might try to get back here and talk more about the game, what we saw in the ball game in Mississippi State and LSU. And again, that's coming up at 11 a.m. on Thursday morning. I believe that's on the SEC Network, so everybody should be able to tune into that. So make sure you're watching that. We'll have obviously a game thread for the game if you guys want to come in, talk about the game with us, and I'll be covering it on Twitter as well. So hope you guys will follow me there, and hope you guys will subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. We're building some really good things here. We got a lot of videos coming your way regarding Mississippi State sports and the like. So make sure you are locked in here and subscribe to the Maroon and White Daily YouTube channel, and also make sure you are subscribed to the Maroon and White Daily website. Paul Jones and myself started this thing up. Paul started up in September or October, I believe. I joined him in January, and the ball has gotten rolled down the hill, and we are doing we're doing some great business right now. So I hope you guys can come join the fun with us. All right, this has been Robbie Falk from the Music City. I'm going to go out and try to find maybe some hot chicken or something around here. First, I got to find a computer charger because evidently I've left one of my attachments for that. So it happens to me all the time. We'll go find another one, see what happens. All right, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Be sure to be tuned in. We'll have some more coverage coming your way on Thursday. Catch you down the road.